Hey guys, happy Monday. We have a really slow news week this week, and especially today, I haven't really seen anything today, and I'm just because I'm too lazy right now. I didn't feel like it today. That's a Tuesday type of thing. But anyways, today I just wanted to talk about maybe some ways that you can, if you're not interested in politics, but, a lot of this stuff seems intriguing to you, but, it just seems like too much to grasp and just you don't know where to start. Or maybe, your family isn't really political, but you find yourself feeling you are, and that's kind of how I was. So I just kind of wanted to, you know, explain the barrier to entry here and, things you should do and things you shouldn't do as somebody getting into politics. And I've made both mistakes, or I've done both. I've done things you should and shouldn't do. So, firstly, I just wanted to start off by saying the most important thing to do when you're getting into politics is to educate yourself, right? Because you might have gone to school, but you may have just been jacking off in the back of class, not paying attention, especially in history and civics. Those are the most two important things when it comes to learning about government systems and, how those systems were developed, what kind of country America is, and what kind of country it isn't. So really, you just kind of want to, if you haven't paid attention in school, or maybe you weren't interested in it at the time, go back and, read about history. Even if it's just, looking up decade by decade, kind of seeing what was going on throughout history, so you can kind of get a broad idea of, how we got to where we are now, you know? I also really recommend that you read biographies just from historical politicians or maybe people that were in wars in history and things like that, because those are just really interesting ways to to find out about what some of these people went through in order to get to their positions of power, right? So once you start learning about history, you're going to kind of want to know more about what's going on now. So what I would recommend you do, and a sane person would tell you to go watch Fox News or CNN, and sure, you can go do all of that. I really recommend you do, because it's kind of how you get a really left or right-sided perspective on the way on how things are going on. But you could also go on YouTube or other platforms, kind of like what I'm doing, investigative journalists, people that are like small reporters, just people that are like doing local news and things like that. That way you're not, maybe watching like big news, you're kind of getting, maybe a person that has kind of more of a choice of what to say. There's watch people that are not censored, so you're getting, the full idea of what's really going on, and they're not sugarcoating things. Just things of that nature. I would advise, to take a look at that, rather than just looking at, the big news channels. So find somebody you resonate with. You're going to scroll through a lot of things, and I really encourage you, as you're, learning or watching more people and, maybe finding somebody that you like, I encourage you to look at it from objective point of view, right? I wouldn't follow what anybody else says. Don't even go to the comments, because, if you're going to see people supporting this guy, you're going to automatically assume that, you are agreeing with everything this guy is saying. That's exactly what you shouldn't do. In your own mind, use your, innate sense of morals and maybe your own values to deduce whether the person that you are watching resides with you politically. And that leads me into my third area about politics, which is, which side do you fall into, right? Because obviously it's a bipartisan country. There's a left and a right, and it's been that way for, as long as America has been around. So what would I say about this? First of all, I would completely, disregard who is in politics right now when you look at the left and the right, because You're going to see a lot of people that you're maybe going to have some opinions on Kamala Harris or Joe Biden or Obama and kind of define them as the left. And then you're going to see people like, Bush, Trump, Ronald Reagan on the right, and maybe, you feel the same way. You see them, and just since that's all you've heard about when it comes to the Republican Party, you kind of define the right, with them. And that's just not what you should do, especially getting into politics. What I would do is literally go to the website, like the website for the Democrats and the website for the Republicans, and look through their values, look through their core beliefs. And you can just look this up. You can even go on AI and just say, give a brief synopsis of, left versus right and sort of their, center values. And then from there, you can kind of really get an idea of which side you fall into. And I would say also, before you fully decide whether you're going to be Democrat, Republican, far left, far right, whatever, I would just say, or I would just recommend that, you still kind of look at it from an objective point of view, right? Because, things change, right? And different presidents have different policies. And so just be careful what, don't automatically assume that just because a president is running for maybe a presidential candidate's running for Republican, position. I would just advise you to look, at their individual views and kind of compare them to, the views of the Republican Party or whatever, and see if they kind of really fall in line with them. So yeah, that's what I would say about that. I would just kind of say, take your time, learn what, fits you the best, and just see what you truly believe in, and do this on your own. Don't take opinion, or obviously you're taking my advice, but don't let anybody tell you what's right or wrong, because that's for you to decide, because you have a brain and you can do that yourself. So I really this also goes into really just, once you get really interested in stuff, right? And you find a topic that's especially interesting to you, I would advise you to develop critical thinking skills. And you may already have those, but you may be, assuming things. So I would just, like I said, don't accept things at face value, right? Analyze policies, bills, laws, and understand their long-term principles. And like I said in my last video, you should definitely balance emotion and logic, because, if you lean too far one way or too far the other way, right? You're probably not going to make the right choice, because you have to balance your emotional beliefs with your logical beliefs. And in the middle is mindful. You want to be mindful about everything when it comes to politics. And unless you're an actual fucking politician, you never just want to veer all the way to one side. Okay? So, here I'm looking at my notes here. Yeah, so another thing you can really do to participate, if you decide you want to participate, is one, voting. You can register to vote online. It's a very easy process, and I would recommend 100% that, even if you don't vote for a president or whatever, just vote for maybe a local politician, maybe, whatever, and that'll kind of give you an idea of what the experience is like and sort of what that circle is, and just kind of give you, you can kind of test the waters in public politics, for that matter. So, yeah, so I would say, if you want to take that even further, I personally didn't do this, but, this is a great way to get involved, is maybe join a club, go to local debates, maybe even, debate somebody, and talk to your friends and family about this stuff in an objective way, right? So sorry about that, my storage fucking ran out again. I swear I'm going to lose my mind. But anyways, yeah, where was I? I was talking about joining, local groups, maybe going to local debates, and you can do things like that. And maybe, you can get a better idea of what you believe in as well. And I just want to finish this off by saying, it's okay to want to be interested in stuff like this because, not everybody is into sports and gambling and shit like that. Some people just kind of view this as a sport, and I'm one of those people. And yeah, I would just encourage you to, if you are interested in this, to pursue it in this way and not to just go blindfolded into it and agree with everything maybe your parents say about politics because you are your own person and you deserve to have your own opinions. So thank you all. I hope you guys have a great rest of your night. Peace.